Hi friends, how are you? It's Miss Drywa. So we're still doing long division. We're still taking our time because I know this has a lot of steps and it can get confusing. Even for teachers and adults, long division is not always easy. Okay, so today we're going to review our steps to dividing. We'll do a problem together and then you can practice some on your own. All right. Again, don't stress it too much, friends, because we are taking our time. All right, so let's get started. So you have long division. So remember our steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. So D, M, S, B, R. Now we have our family, right? Our long division family to help us remember these steps. So Dad tells us to divide. D for Dad, D for divide. Mom tells us multiply. M for Mom, M for multiply. Sister tells us to subtract. S for sister, S for subtract. Brother tells us bring down. B for brother, B for bring down. Rover tells us repeat. R for over, R for repeat, and that means just to start over again and go back to Dad. All right, so let's get started. So now I have a problem here. I have 168 divided by 3. So now remember, this is like a house, and our bigger number goes in our house, and the 3 wants to get in, and the only way he can get in is we have to see how many times this 3 can go into 168. And the easiest way to do that is to break it up into place value. That's why we learn place value in September, and it follows us the whole year in math. So we start at our place value that's closest. But before we actually get started, I'm going to write our initials so we remember what our steps are. So I remember divide. My Dad tells us to divide. Mom tells us to multiply. Sister tells us to subtract. Brother tells us to bring down. And Rover tells us to repeat. So now I have my family. My dad, my mom, my sister, brother, and Rover. They're all there, and this family is going to help me do long division. Now another thing, I'm going to write my multiples of 3 on the side to help me. Because we're dividing by 3, that means we're going to be using our multiples of 3 a lot. So I start with my first multiple, which is always the number. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. That's where we're going to start because we ran out of space. But that's plenty. So now I have all my multiples are listed. So now this will help me when I'm trying to figure out if 3 goes into these larger numbers. So now I'm all set up and I'm all ready to go. I have my steps, my long division family to help me up here. I have my multiples of 3 to help me over here. Now I can get started. So I take my 3 and I have to see the first place value. Remember, in long division, we start closest to the door. Because remember, he's going in the door. And he has to see now if he can fit into this number place by place. Right? So he opens the door. Can 3 go into 1? Well, if this is a smaller number inside, no. So I look and I see, which one is my bigger number? Well, 3 is bigger than 1, so no. I'm going to put an X there so I don't get confused and put my answer up there. 3 cannot go into 1. But that's okay, because we can add that 1 to the 6 and make it 16. And now I can see if 3 goes into 16. Now I have to go see how many times 3 can go into 16 without going over. That's where my multiples come into play. So I'm going to come over here and look. I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Oh no, 18 is bigger than 16. So I went over, so I have to go back to 15. So 15 is my first multiple. All right, and I count now to 15 to see how many times was it that went into 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 goes into 15 5 times. So I'm going to put the 5 up here. And I just divided. I divided 3 into 16 without going over it. Because if I would have went to 18, 18's too big. So we got to go back to 15. So I divided. My next one is, Mom tells me to multiply. So now I multiplied 3 times 5. Well, I have my multiples here, so I can just count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15. So I'm going to write the 15 here. So I multiplied, I listened to Mom. Now sister tells me to subtract. So now I have to subtract 16 minus 15. So now I come to my 6 minus 5. Remember, you can, if you know this, great. If not, we still have touch points, right? So we could do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 1 minus 1 gives me 0. So I divided, I multiplied, I subtracted. Now I have to bring down. Brother, B, tells me to bring down. So I have to bring down my 8. And now we have 18. So bring down. Now we go to Rover, and Rover says, woof woof, repeat. So now we have to repeat everything. We got to go back to Dad and start all over again. But now we're still with the 18, okay? So now we take a look, okay? Now I have to see how many times 3 goes into 18. So I look at my multiples, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. We have it on here. And we didn't go over. It's perfect. So now I know I have 18, so I'm going to stop at 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is how many times 3 goes into 18. So I divided. I listened to Dad. I'm done. Now I go to Mom. She tells me to multiply. So now I'm multiplying this digit by 3. So 6 times 3. Well, I have my multiples here. So if I don't know my multiplication facts by heart, I can still use them. If you know them by heart, it just makes it a little easier. So now we count until we get to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 18. So I write my answer here. I divided, I multiplied, now I subtract. So 8 minus 8 equals 0. 1 minus 1 equals 0. And that's it, we're done. We have no more numbers and we're at 0. So I got 168 divided by 3. Here's my answer right here. 5 and 6 make 56. Okay? So we have to follow our steps. Divide. Dad tells us to divide. See how many times 3 goes into each digit in the place value. Then, after we figure out how many times it goes in without going over, we then have to multiply. And Mom tells us to multiply our digit up here by our divisor. And that's when we write our answer down here. Then Sister tells us to subtract. And once we're done subtracting, then Brother comes in and says, bring down your next digit. So we bring it down. And then Rover tells us to repeat all over again. Now we have to divide our 3 into this number down here. So the same thing, I divide, I see how many times our divisor goes into that dividend without going over. Then we write our answer up top for our quotient. We're making our quotient. Then we go to multiply. Now we multiply that one single digit in our quotient by our divisor. We get our answer and we write it here. Then sister tells us to subtract, and then if we get 0, we're done. All right, friends? Great job. I know this is a lot. I'm going to tell you every day. I understand. I really do. We're going to take it slow, okay? I want you all, you're all super duper smart and you've got this. I know you do. We wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel like you guys didn't get this, okay? You guys are amazing. Keep it up. And again, remember, we're in different times right now. You're at your house. I'm at my house. This is not normally how we would do things, so I get it. And I'm here if we need help. Just tell mom, dad, grandma, whomever, and I will reach out and we'll get help together and we'll figure it out. All right? But in the meantime, keep up the great work. You're all doing super duper amazing. Bye.